Hey guys, this is Vishal and I'm going to give you a full tutorial about Agent 1 and some great tips and tricks that you can use for your projects. So let's get started. As you can see here, this is the home page and here we have clicked on Agent mode. What you can add here is a short brief, or you can also add just a one line of what you want to do to tell the agent essentially what needs to be done. For example, I'll type in Okay, here you can also attach your treatment note. Now, what is the treatment note? We all of us filmmakers know about it. Usually, it's this kind of a doc. My film is about a dog called Hachiko. It's a short animated film. I'll take you through the pointers briefly. We have the log line, which is like one para about the film that you're creating, the core themes, creative principles, the characters, detailed descriptions about each character, the story flow, which is like act 1, 2, 3 for my specific film, which is broken down into. It's essentially the script broken down in a flow format. You can also add your short breakdown into this document. It also has details about camera framing, etc. So the AI knows what your vision is at the end of the day. So this document can also contain references, because like we traditionally reference things, we can add that to this document, or we can just create it with the AI agent and then move forward. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just attach the treatment note that we just saw. So I've already been working on this film, so I've opened that project so it's easier for you to understand. Once you do the steps that we just spoke about, the chat window will be on the left side, right? You can chat with the agent over here on the sidebar. You can also add in documents like we did earlier. You can add photographs, you can add reference images, PDFs, etc. and share it with the agent and keep jamming with the agent. This is the notebook page where all your generations fill in as the agent executes those things for you. We have the context tab. This is the most important tab, because remember the treatment note that we uploaded, essentially it's all logged in over here. This is so that the agent is now your assistant director or your team member, and it has your vision that you had compiled in the treatment note with it. So as you can see, everything about this project is logged in here. The tone, the POV, dialogues, etc., the acts that we had gone through, the lighting approach, rendering, everything will be logged in context. You don't have to fill it manually. You can if you want to. You can edit them with simple buttons that are present over here, or you can just tell the agent to add it to context and it'll do it for you. This button essentially gives you all the files in more of a listicle format, so you can go through all your files that have been generated very easily and quickly. Apart from that, we have all the agents that you have working on the project over here. We started with animation film director, and I created other agents by just like adding new agent over here. This helps in doing multiple tasks simultaneously, which I'll show you later. Now you can see that the agent has gone through my treatment note and it's added all these things to context, and it's asked me a few questions. So I answer those questions for it so that it can get a deeper understanding of my project. Once that's done, because I wanted to work on the style first of the film in terms of how it'll visually look. So I wanted to do a bunch of research. So I told the agent to find out styles of animation that would work for my film basis the treatment deck, right? So it gave me links of references, which I can just like open link in new tab, and it's here, and then I can just like, I had like multiple references with me that I can iterate with. Once I liked something, I told it to go ahead and make those shots so that I can see it in that style, as you can see here. What I usually do is, instead of generating just one frame, I told it to generate a grid. So once I went through the references of all the styles that it gave me, I picked a few of them, and like how I've written over here, I think option 1 is preferred by me. However, I would like to test out like the Ghibli style too. So I told it pick any 3 shots from the script and create those frames in each style. And it started creating that for me, as you can see on the right side in the notebook. And then I wanted it to also be in like a 4x4 grid, which kind of helps me keep continuity and also optimize my credits utilization so that I'm getting more in just one image. Another reason I also do the grid method is so that I can compare the exact same frames from my particular script. So there's an apples to apples comparison of the styles, and that helps me lock in on one kind of style. What I usually do at the end of the chat, as you can see here, is, for example, here I've written 2K resolution, everything else the same. but just use the Nano Banana Pro model. You can give it this guidance and it'll always apply this guidance throughout if you want. Or at certain times, I write, let's discuss it once the generations are done, so that it kind of follows that workflow that I prefer. I prefer this modern 3D animation style, and then I told the agent and I went ahead with it. So I told it, okay, so I like image 5.1. 5.1 is the number of each image in that thread, so that the agent knows, okay, I need to go with this image, and it'll log it into context, so that now it'll remember this style, and every image that it creates further on in this project will always be in this same style. That's the beauty of the agent, right? Working in the style, I started working on my characters. So now, as you can see here, I told it, let's work on Hachiko's character. I would like 4 character sheet options of Hachiko, because I like multiple options of the characters, so I can pick one. I also gave it a attachment of Hachiko's real life photo from back in the day in the 1920s, so that it has more resemblance to that character. You can give it any character references that you deem fit, or if you're working with an actor, etc., for your project. Generated a bunch of options. So I told the agent I like image 7.3, as you can see here, this image. So then it looks through the sequence and updates it into context. So now that character is locked for the entire film. So when I say just create Hachiko, it knows that it's creating that same character that I've locked in the beginning of the project. So did here is create different versions of Hachiko. What I mean by that is my story has him growing older. So I told it to also create the older versions of it and also the younger version of it, because I needed it in some scene. I repeated the same process as you can see here with the professor, iterating a lot on the professor's look. I kept chatting with the agent and getting what I needed, so that I have a bunch of options, so that I can lock down on what I need for my film. I think that's really helpful, because it kind of lets me decide as a director of what I want. Main character is locked. I wanted more options of the professor. That's like every version of him appearing in every scene, right? Like I want different costumes approved. I want the look without the cap, how he looks. Is he bald? Does he have a different hairstyle? So as you can see here, I've told the agent to lock in the character of the professor. That works for me. Now we'll need variations of the professor in different looks. That would mean different clothing items that he wears inside the trench coat, maybe 6 options for that. Also, I need a character sheet for the professor without the cap, so that we can see his bald head clearly, which will help us in further generations, because that is approved and locked, and he will always appear in the way that I had envisioned in the beginning, and there are no surprises later. I told it to do that. The agent went through it. It gave me a bunch of options, and then I approved it and told it to go ahead and create all those options. So here 13.6, 13.7, 13.8, these were all the options that were created for me for the different versions of the character I had approved. Okay, next I start creating all the locations that are required in my script. For example, there's an interior house, there's an exterior house, there's the train station, etc. So as you can see here, I want to start work on locations of Act 1. Keeping our style in mind, can you list out the locations? So it's gone through the script and it's understood that, okay, these are the locations that are needed. The professor's home exterior, the walk route, the Shibuya station, and the Shibuya station platform, because these all are part of the script that was there in the treatment note, right? So it constantly has context, which is great. I don't need to tell it each time that in detail, or I don't have to spoon feed it to tell it these are the locations. It intuitively, like a team member, understands, and then it just goes ahead and does it. So all I did was tell it, okay, let's go ahead and create these. Use Nano Banana Pro, because that's what I wanted and I prefer. You can always put in these guardrails, like what model is preferred by you, and it'll always adhere to that. So as you can see on the right, it's gone and created the locations as we had spoken about. It thought about it, it figured out the prompt, and it created these location options for me. Here's the platform, exterior of the house, the walking routes, everything. And the best part is, wherever you need like options and you're not happy with that first option, because I was happy with a bunch of options because it has so much context of what needs to be done and it understands the film that I'm making. I usually lock it in the beginning, but if are some that you want to work on and want to add more detail, like for example, for the house exterior, I wanted 5 options. So if we go back to 15.1, it created like 5 more options later so that I could pick the one that I prefer in the same description and in the same style. So that's perfect. As a director, I can just pick the right production design element for my film. Once your locations are generated, I just tell the agent, I think I'll stick to image 19.2. I'm just locking everything with the agent so that it's storing it in context so that now it remembers what are the approved elements. This is an important point because if you don't approve it, it's kind of left in limbo and it doesn't know what to do further on, right? Like you have to approve it with the team member that you're working with. Here it's the agent, and that's how it knows next time when you say it's the house, it's that particular house that we had locked before. Once you're done with locking the locations, I move on to the storyboarding phase. Now, as you can see here, I've written, let's start the storyboarding process. And obviously you must forward think. What I mean by that is create all frames that are necessary and which will be used as frames for video creation. A lot of frames don't need to be created, as Seed Dance reference to video allows up to 15 seconds with multi-shot. So I wanted the agent to know that. Because you don't need to create each and every frame as an image right now. Seed Dance has the capability, if you upload the reference characters and the location, it can create a multi-shot which is completely consistent through 15-second videos, right? So that kind of cuts down on your storyboard images, and that also optimizes your credits and makes your work way faster. And I wanted my agent to be on the same page as me, and that's why I gave it that instruction. It understood that, and it said that going forward it will think like this so that we're on the same page. And then it broke down Act 1 into the shots that it would require on the storyboard phase and the things that it would do at the video phase. So that was really helpful and kind of sped the whole process up. I prefer working act by act because I like to segregate things. I do the images first and the videos of Act 1 and then move forward. As you can see here, I've told it that I want to focus on Act 1 right now, and we'll only talk about Act 1. And post that, it's given me a complete shot breakdown in like an Excel format so that I'm up to date and up to speed on what is being created and what will be locked going forward. And you can see it's gone ahead and created the storyboard frames for me too, which look great. So when I'm generating videos, I usually create another agent. Like you can see here, I've created a prompter Seed Dance 2.0 agent. I tell it that you can do a deep dive research on Seed Dance 2.0. That includes image to video, reference to video, multi-shot prompting, etc. After it's done doing a deep dive, I also give it an instruction of how I prompt, right? So while we use reference to video, we must not add too many images. I would recommend adding reference of the characters, etc. Apart from that, I also sometimes give it some prompts of how I usually prompt. And I go into detail. Like for example, I've broken down the scene where I want different beats of the scene to come across in that Seed Dance generation. This way the agent understands and it kind of creates a mock-up template of how it's going to prompt, and then it will always adhere to that guardrail. So this is also kind of cool and kind of saves you time to generate those Seed Dance videos or whatever model that you're using, Kling, Seed Dance, VO 3.1, all of them can be given to the agent to understand and execute it the way you like. Here we have a button that gives you options of always allow or ask before generating videos, which will then always ask you with an interface to approve that and go ahead. So I'll do that for now and I'll just show it to you. Always ask before generating. Now I've told it I want to recreate the last 5 storyboard images of my film. So it's asked me on the left side, which part of the script am I exactly talking about? So I'll just click on memorial sequence. It'll process it. And until then, I can go to another agent. So I can go to the Seed Dance prompter and I can tell it, let's recreate these 3 videos. So now you can see they are working parallelly. Okay, so now you can see on the left side, there is this interface that's come up where I can approve or deny the prompts that it wants to go ahead with, because remember we had clicked always ask at the top. So this is a great way of keeping further control over your images and videos that are getting generated. And because I told it that I need to recreate 5 storyboards, it's created 5 options for me, right? And I can see the images that are going to be attached for each one of these. So this is pretty cool, and then I can just approve each one of them and it'll pop up in the notebook. So the great part about 2 agents working at the same time is it kind of helps you get your film out faster, because there are no bottlenecks and you're not working in a linear way. So that's really helpful. Like I have created almost a 7 or 6 minute film in a matter of 4 days all alone by myself, right? Because I have so many agents kind of assisting me and helping me, and they're like my team members. So that kind of pushes me to create the videos faster and with full creative control over it throughout.